Hi everyone, Seb here, and we are back for another hard surface tutorial. Today, once again, we're using Fluent add-on for Blender. Um, I'm gonna go with a little bit more advanced techniques here. So if you're really new to Fluent, I truly advise you to watch my beginner tutorials where you can learn about the basics. So today we're gonna make a building, sci-fi building. Um, First, we're gonna start with the creation tool and obviously show the grid. The thing is, if you start drawing from here, you will not be able to put the bevel at the right place. So to do that, we actually need to rotate the grid. So like this. By the way, if the icons here and there are a little bit smaller than usual, this is because I changed my screen and the other one is broken. So um, for now, it will be like that for this video. I'm sorry. So we rotate the grid and then we hold shift to draw from the center, and we will make a shape like this. So that's the base of the building. And the reason why we are drawing it on the x-axis and not on the z-axis is because if you press B to bevel it, the bevel will be on the corners like that. So that's exactly what we want. I'm going to change the type of bevel and I'm going to go with this. So that's it. We have the basic. I always add a bevel. This helps making the edges a little bit more interesting. By the way, I enabled the cavity with both types so I can see more clearly the edges and everything. So then we're gonna click here and then use the face inset tool. If we select this, press I, then we're insetting the face. And then we press Enter and V to go through the object. So we have here the basic wall that is going around the building. So this is a slice for start because we're gonna actually right click and we're gonna do the exact same thing on this one. So face inset tool, inset, enter, V. So that's pretty cool. The thing is now we are gonna make some windows. So to make some windows, we're gonna use the basic cut tool, of course, and you're gonna see that it is actually going through the first layer, but not the second one, and we're gonna fix that a little bit later. So let's add a bevel first of all. Okay, right click, and we are going to show the booleans. So it's the I don't know, greater than, lower than key, or you can just press F and click on this one. And if we select this boolean, shift, hold the shift, and then click on the inside, we're going to be able to use the difference boolean. Good. We're going to right click and we're pretty much good to go with the window. A nice detail that you can have with SciFi windows is to select the boolean that you use for the window, press F, and then use here the inset tool. Now, if you right click on the side to show the grid and use the inset tool, so if you hold shift and click here, press V, you're going to see that now it is creating an inset, and you can easily change here the inset thickness. So here it is collapsing, and this is because we're going too far. But let's say you want it like this, boom. And now you have a pretty cool detail on your window, and this makes it a little bit less boring. Let's activate the transparency up and then move it on the Y. Okay, good. So we have a nice window. Now it's time to add a little bit more details on the roof and on the sides. So a good technique to add details is actually using the slice. And you can pretty much do it like so. Now if you select the slice inside, you can go to edit and you will be able to edit it because this is a copy of the main object here. You will have the same properties. So now if we press B, I can change the bevel of this object and create some really cool details like this one, for example. So that's cool technique that I really use in art surface, and you can also to mix up like the round corners here and the straight line there. You can repeat these details by pressing F, edit, and then press B for bevel, and then add a small bevel at the bottom. So we have this round shape that is reproducing the round shape that we have here. And this is something very important in art surface and in modeling in general. It's like to have some places that are with the same shape. Another cool details you can add is this, for example. You can have like just a small cut, and then I'm gonna actually make it deeper than I want, and then I'm gonna go to offset and move it up a little bit. The reason for that is that we are gonna use a second bevel, and this will round the bottom but also the top of it, and we don't want this to affect the shape. We only want the bottom to be affected. So that's why I offset it on the top to move it a little bit. And now you can just add an array by pressing A. And boom, you have like a small detail. Can move it up a little bit like so. And move it along the building if you want. So that's a cool thing you can add. And now you can work on the other sides, and the other side will have, for example, like a glass that is more vertical. And to do that, you can actually make a slice. So we'll probably make it like this. And once again, we're gonna add a bevel to reproduce this effect that we have here. And that will be heat. And you can combine it with an inset. You select here, you go there, and then you inset the face. So you can go all the way if you want this effect, or you can stop just a little bit before. And once again, add the bevel, try to actually map it with this one so it is not really too far from it. And you can adjust the depth of the inset. And we can imagine that this face, those faces here inside will be glass, for example, so it will be transparent. And this is a nice source of light for the building because it will come from the top and lighten the inside. So that's cool. This building is a little bit too rectangle. So now I'm going to add some details on the roof. So to do that, I'm gonna actually show the grid and shift right click to show the grid without the dots. Rotation tool, rotate it by 90 degrees and move to the front view. Now, if you press S, you're going to go to the shape mode where you're going to be able to draw a shape. So if you go like so, and then hold Control to go straight at the bottom, and Shift left click to validate shape. Now we're going to make it like this. Don't worry if it's going outside. We're going to move it once we are in the top view. So if you go to the top view and then press G, Y, you're going to be able to center it like this. Okay, we have like a small artifacts here, but we're going to fix it just after. Now we're going to add a bevel on the top because this is way too pointy. The problem is that it's adding a bevel to all the corners. So to fix that, we're going to just go to the left, press X. So now none of the corners are selected. And if you go closer to this one with your mouse and then press X again, you're going to be able to adjust just this one. So I'm going to make something round like this. And you can imagine that here you can have a vent or like a display with, I don't know, an ad or something that says that the shop is open. If it's a shop, for example, here you can make some kind of a bar or something, yeah, where people can order stuff. So you can adjust it as you want, but I think this is a really cool detail to add some shapes on the rooftop to add a little bit more shapes around this rectangle shape. Good, so I'm gonna right click and right now I'm gonna fix this artifacts. So as usual, to fix the artifacts, you select the object that you want to fix, press F, and then show the wireframe. And whenever you are adding a Boolean operation on an object, Blender is adding edges automatically to support the Boolean. The problem is that you can see that Blender added the edge here and here, and this is not the most optimized way. So to fix that, we're going to actually go to edit mode, press Ctrl R, and then place an edge here. So Ctrl R and then right click so it stays in the middle, and now just Shift F. As you can see, it places the edge perfectly in the middle, and now we don't have artifacts anymore. The thing is, I don't know why, whenever you press Shift F, it will go back to object mode, but the problem is that it will deactivate here the cavity option. So that's something that's also happened in other add-ons. I don't know why. There is a shortcut. There is something that tells Blender to disable this cavity option. So you need to re-enable it every time you do Shift F. So for the front part, I'm going to use the Inset tool. And if you click on the bottom part, the flat one, not the rounded one, you can start drawing a rectangle like so. And the cool thing with Inset is that the surface inside will actually follow the curve. So when you have a curved surface, this is a pretty cool tool to use the Inset tool instead of the cuts. So because let me show you. If I convert it to the cut, you can see that here the cut is straight. So this is a different effect that you might want, but for me, I want this curve effect. You might have some artifact around here because the edges that are forming this curve are actually perfectly aligned with this one. So you can just press G, Z, and then move it around. You can see some artifacts are appearing as I move the rectangle along. Great, so I'm gonna add a little bit more depth, and that's it. So that's pretty cool. We can add a screen here that says like you can order some food or something, and that's a nice details to add to a building. Now, if you have a scene where you can go on the top, like for example, you have stairs with different floors, and you can see the building from the top. This is nice to add a little bit more details. But if you have a still render that will be like so, for example, at this height, it's just useless to add some details. In buildings, especially in sci-fi buildings, you usually have vents around the building, and it's usually composed with multiple uh, plates that are placed together. So here, for example, this is one block. You can see that this is like made in one shot, and usually this is not the case. So what we're going to do, and we will do that only at the end, because the importance is that you can slice your building like this. Press V to go through, and the cool thing is that now you are cutting the entire shape, the entire building. This is a little bit easier to do it after you added all the details. And you might need, like for this one, for example, you might need to actually move, and that's always good in sci-fi buildings to add slices like so. So you're just doing this. And this looks a little bit more realistic now. We have like different parts, and you can see that how this is built together, and that's good. Here, you can see that this is because of this slice, and you need to actually go to vertex mode, select those two, and move them up so it doesn't slice this too. We're gonna now add some vents. This is a cool technique that I use in almost every of my renders. You are actually using here the cut, and then let me move this around. Then you can add a bevel, for example, and actually we're going to change it and move it to a slice. And now if you go to the slice, press F, cut, inset face inset, then you press I, you inset it, probably something like that. Press enter, go inside a bit. Good. And you can just shift click on the pencil icon, and this will allow you to draw directly on the cut that you're making. So that's a technique that we call cut the cutter in the Fluent community, and this will allow you to cut the cutter, which will actually reveal what you just cut. So that's a nice technique. And now you can just move it a little bit inside. And if you use the rotation and rotate it by 45 degrees, you can see the angle at the bottom left corner if you want to see the 45 degrees angle. And then if you press A to make an array, make it a little bit of space, and then press C to increase the number of elements. And boom, you have it. You have your vent. It's probably a little bit, let me press A again to separate them a little bit more. Good. And you might see some artifacts, but those can be fixed by actually decreasing the bevel. So if you actually reduce here the bevel size, you see that now most of the artifacts are gone. Great. So with those techniques, I think you have pretty much a good basis on how to make sci-fi buildings. Now, if you play with the slice and a lot of insets and stuff, you can add a lot of details a little bit everywhere. And that's pretty much all you need to know to make sci-fi buildings. I hope you like it. If you do, please let me know in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe for new tutorials. See you on the next one.